Hello everyone, and welcome to WOR Tier 2 on console. We're here for round 3 in Imola. After last week going to Jeddah, we've got a new championship leader, but it is all to play for still tonight. I will be main commentator Ace again after last week, as Epic is still out. Joining alongside me is normal CoCom in Max. How are you doing tonight?
I'm very good, Ace. Pleasure to be back for the third round of the season, and should be a good one. And how are you, Ace, on this Friday evening?
Very good. Decent myself, at least. He could be better, but we're going to get into to qualifying shortly. We should have either 19 or 20, as a couple of drivers have had to pull out last second because they forgot the race was today. Not the
Oh,
first time that's happened, I don't think.
no. I don't know, actually. I don't know if that mistake happens often, but yeah, it should. Anyway, either way, it should be a very exciting race here this evening. Usually it's the reserves that sometimes forget when the races are, because, of course, they don't race here every week. So it should be an exciting race, of course, round Imola this evening. And yeah, a circuit with so much history and so many iconic corners, and a track where it's very technical, very challenging, but also is just a fun circuit to drive, and overall can provide many an overtaking opportunity for the driver here this evening. So even if we are down one or two drivers, it still should be a fantastic Grand Prix, and something that could really change how this championship flows, because this is really crunch time for when you need to start your season on the front foot.
Definitely. And if you're a full-time driver, these are the rounds you want to get in, build up your championship lead, and then hope and pray that you don't have to miss any races so you can't defend your lead, as that is one of the worst things when it comes to leagues. If you can't defend your lead and someone else wins within whatever points gap it is, you could be in the mud, as we'll say. But we're going to take a look through your stats now, as that is the wrong image showing first. Hazara leading after last week, taking the win in Jeddah, as well, previous championship leader Venom crashing out eventually. Or did he DNF? I can't. Just put in the pit. Cannot remember. But other than that, you got Justin sitting in P3. Dara, who's not showing up tonight, is sitting P4. Alex Marciano in P5. All of those separated by only 9 points currently. So even a P5 could give them the lead if the others ahead don't score.
Yeah, it certainly could. And I mean, that's what makes this start of the season so interesting. Of course, we've had Hazara and Venom take the first two race wins of the season. Of course, Venom retiring last time out in Jeddah. I think it was a crash which caused that. But for Hazara, he got those 2 points in Bahrain. It wasn't the greatest of races, but Bahrain could be an outlier circuit. So this could be where we start to see Hazara, of course, build off that momentum from the race win last time out. Of course, was very, very lucky on when the safety car came out for him and put him in that race lead, which he managed to hold on to near the end of the race. Of course, here at Imola, could be a completely different story. A bit more of a technical circuit, a slower circuit with some of these corners. And it's shorter lap times, yes, but overall the corners, they're a lot more challenging, I feel like, than Jeddah. Of course, Jeddah, you're close to the wall, so the exits and the corner entries are a lot more difficult. But when it comes to overall keeping your car on the circuit and actual traction zones in itself, Imola is a much more challenging circuit to that. Of course, you do have a lot of runoff, which does help these drivers out a lot more. I'm not saying Jeddah is not a challenge, but for the likes of Hazara, if he can build off that momentum of Venom, of course, trying to build off that race win in Bahrain and then trying to come back from his DNF last time out. Of course, he had, I think, a controller issue in qualifying at Jeddah, which really plagued his Grand Prix. So we can maybe see those two have a good race. Justin as well, of course, second last time out. I think he was also helped massively by the safety car in Jeddah, but around Imola, anything can happen. It's such a different circuit to the two we've had before us that anyone can be in a chance of winning this race. Of course, you can say that all the time, but round 3, it really is the tipping point between where you need your season to start taking form. You can't wait till any longer, especially with it only being 10-round season. Round 3 really is the crucial one, and if you don't get your season started now with a big points haul, then you could maybe even wish your championship chances goodbye.
Yeah, wishing it goodbye before it even starts. But a final look at our constructors' standings. You have Aston leading away. The gap is currently wrong, but other than that, it's perfectly fine. It's 8 points is the gap to Red Bull with Bobbits and Venom. Then you've got Ferrari of Alex Marciano and Spicer in P3. All those separated by only 12 points, so that's still up for grabs with a P4 if the others do not score. So you never know what can happen. It is going to be an exciting one, hopefully, tonight as we're just loading into qualifying.
Yeah, we certainly are. Going to be interesting as well. Of course, Imola, a circuit which can have a high chance of rain, seem to be dry here this evening as we see the pit lane. Of course, Imola, 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. A total length of 4.909 kilometres and 3.050 miles. We've got 32 laps this evening around this historic circuit, which brings us to a total race length of 157.088 kilometres. That record held by Lewis Hamilton in 2020 with a 1 minute 15.484. Most wins is by Max Verstappen with 2. Of course, the debut race after 2020, of course, in November 2020, was won by Lewis Hamilton, which sealed Mercedes' historic 7th consecutive Constructors' Championship. 26.5 seconds is the pit loss. We've got drivers coming out onto the circuit now, and it is looking to be a very exciting one here this evening. And the first driver that's going to be coming out on the circuit is going to be MDR David, so we can maybe see if he is going to be able to set a lap that could be good enough for pole position come the end of the session, or at least for quite a while. But of course, 18 minutes of action here for you this evening in this only qualifying session that we have here in WR. So all these drivers, they need to get their laps on the boards now. They need to make them count, and if they fail to do so, this race could be ever so challenging, knowing that really the only main overtaking opportunities are down into the first of the two Ravazzas and also into the Tamburello chicane.
Definitely. As we've been given the weather as well for the race, it's heavy rain to dry eventually. And then you've got the second message after that, which is Harvey saying, I should have raced now. So
Oh dear.
I think he's a little bit upset that he hasn't raced. But then again, there'll be other chances throughout the season, hopefully for him. But the first one to, well, hopefully to be setting him up should be Dirk. So we will go on board with him. Do you want to take it through the first lap, or do you want me to do it?
I don't mind, Ace. It's completely up to you. If you want to take Dirk on the lap, you take him on a lap around the Imola circuit.
You can take it. But
all right then.
off we go.
Here we are then with Dirk exiting that final corner, going for a wide approach onto that start-finish straight to maximise his straight line speed as he heads down into turns 1 and 2. Of course, turn 1 is that little pink fly, and then you head into 2 and 3. Onto the brakes just as the curb starts, get it down to 5th gear, miss the apex slightly, going to effectively run out of the corner as you head through the left-hander of turn 4, up now into the Villeneuve chicane. Little dab on the brakes, down to 6th gear, and then smashing on those brakes before you exit the corner. He's gone a bit wide there onto the gravel, and he's actually aborted that one. So we're going to turn our attention to the Ferrari of Alex Marciano. He's now heading through the hairpin left-hander as he now heads up the hill as he heads to the very end of the outer, which is, of course, just a quick dab on the brake, quick lift, and he's gone very wide there as Alex Marciano turning too early, hit too much curb as he heads down to Aqua Minerale, down to 4th gear, straight back on the power, try get the best run possible as you head up the hill. Of course, very easy to bog down and lose drive. Now into the right hand, the chicane, and back on to the power. 4th gear, of course, Imola. It's not really a circuit you've seen too much in league racing on this game. As you now head down the hill into the first of the 2 revaxes, braking at the black box, down to 3rd gear, and then straight back onto the power. You then coast through the second revaxer and then keep it as tight to that inside as possible for the run to the line of Alex Marciano for 1 minute 13.880, and the Ferrari with a decent lap there, but still very, very scrappy. I'm expecting that to be beaten quite easily at this point in the session.
Definitely, as Max van der Geest goes into P2 with a 13.9. Just a 10th off as Flo, 14.2, off the pace a little bit, but then again, these are banker laps, you need to be careful. Has Allison, where is he? Is he in the pit lane?
Yes, he is retired in the pit lane.
Does he have a qualifying ban or something? I haven't noticed. It's Venom, 13.6 on.
Yeah, you're back now. Yeah, you're back now there, Ace.
Avoid the final corner up towards the line, keeping it as close as the wall as possible to ensure very minimal time loss, but a 13.9, only 200ths off Max van der Geest currently. As you see, that's, I think, was it Raphael crossing a line, getting into the very low of the 14s. I think you've got, not Typical is next, who is next currently? It's Andrea out of the final turn, getting very close to that limit on the exit, but it is a 14.6. That is over a second actually off the pace currently. But then again, banker laps, they're not gonna matter too much, as I don't think anyone else is on a lap other than Typical maybe. But it seems he's also backed off, as that is the red light flashing, recharging the US. So, first laps are done, apart from the bottom 6 currently.
Yeah,
13.
they certainly are. And for Shazoo Venom, it's a really good lap time there for 1 minute 13.6, put him just over a 10th clear of TRL Martin. But of likes of Dirk, Typical, Bobbich, Justin, Spicer and David, it wasn't the greatest of openings there for them, but of course, still plenty of time left in this qualifying session. Alex Marciano about to head back onto the circuit once Andrea comes into the pit lane. He'll be the only car out on track. I say that, and I just see an Aston Martin trundling down the pit lane, I think. No, I don't know, actually. That was an AlphaTauri going into his pit box. So we are going to see Alex Marciano be the only driver out on the... Oh, now, really, guys? Every time I say that there's going to be a car all by himself so far this season, one of you decide to come out of the pit lane after I say it. But anyway, Alex Marciano is going to be heading into the Villeneuve chicane. He'll surely be the first driver to be setting a second run in this session. Of course, set the first competitive time of the session here this evening. So, of course, in 3rd place, not too shabby for Alex Marciano. Of course, 9 points off Hazara for that championship lead. And he's had a decent run of things. I think a 5th and a 4th here in crossplay tier 2. Spicer has left the session. Don't know if he can get back in quickly, which I hope he can. But for Alex Marciano, this now needs to be somewhat of a bit more competitive lap to the likes of Martin and Venom. At the moment, Venom and Martin really are just a league above the other drivers, nearly 2 tenths separating Martin and Alex Marciano. So we'll wait and see what the Ferrari can do as he's heading into the chicane now. And we'll see if Alex Marciano can try snatch provisional pole away from Shazoo Venom before those final runs. We will have a lobby restart here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Max van der Geest with a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking on a Alpine. I think that is of Typical, Could be Langman though.
I
As
think
we
it's
now
Langman.
exit the final corner with Alex Marciano. He's about to start his his second run of qualifying here. So the Ferrari driver exits now through turn 1. That little kink right, you don't really think about it. Everyone thinks his first braking zone is the first corner, but no, it's turn 2 down to 5th gear. Nicely done there from Alex Marciano. A lot better than what we saw Dirk take the Tamburello chicane as he now heads up into Villeneuve. Lift, then smash that brake pedal down to the floor, down to 5th gear for Alex Marciano as you now head into the hairpin, down to 3rd gear for Alex Marciano. Get a good drive out of the corner as you head up the hill, and we can see if Alex Marciano can keep this one on the road this time. Yes, he can, through turn 9 as you head down the hill into Aqua Minerale. And there's a Haas on the inside. Hopefully that don't distract him too much. Get the best drive he possibly can up the hill. We're about to head up to the middle sector split for Alex Marciano. Up by 3.5 tenths. This could be an amazing lap here from Alex Marciano through the chicane as you now exit. And then you just try to get the perfect run down into the first of the 2 Ravazzas. This one is probably one of the most important corners of the circuit as you head down to 3rd gear, then try to get straight back on the power. A bit of a slide there from Alex Marciano, a bit too much curb as well. Through the final corner, he's aborted that one, so obviously lost an abundance of time in that final sector. But for Alex Marciano, signs of a strong lap there, but unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to complete it in full, and really just what could have been for the Ferrari driver. Max van der Geest is going to be heading down the hill into the first Ravazza. He's up by 3/10 of a second as well, so he could be rivaling Shizu Venom for that provisional pole. Track evolution does seem to be quite high here in Imola. Open up DRS with Max van der Geest, and there we go. A near 5/10 improvement from Max. A 13.446, a brilliant lap time there from the Mercedes. Venom has just started his lap. Martin has as well. The other Mercedes of Dirk is coming up to the line, and he goes now up into 4th place in this session. There is a McLaren of Danielle heading up to the line in 11th place at the moment. Where can he go? He goes up into 5th place with a 13.8, just ahead of Alex Marciano, who's actually now coming out for another run in this session. Typical. Shoots up into 2nd place, of course, last week's pole sitter, and unfortunately was caught out by the safety car in that one. Martin has backed out of his lap. He's not happy with how his is going. Shizu Venom, but unfortunately cutting too much of the chicane. And for Shizu Venom, 3rd place is the best he can get at the moment. And I think that is most of those 2nd runs done. And for Max van der Geest, that is a perfect lap for him. 13.446 puts him at just under a 10th ahead of FRT typical.
Yeah, but Langman's just finished his lap as well. 2/10 improvement has moved him all the way up from P12 to P8 in that. So an overall not a bad improvement for him. I think that is everyone done. Is that maybe like the likes of Raphael and Roberts, and they're both coming into the pit lane. It seems like Raphael's going to finish a lap this time around up to the line. He will finish it, and it is going to be a 13.9, puts him P10, just ahead of Flo. Mind you, not his teammate, but reserve teammate.
Yeah, really nicely done there from Raphael to go up into 10th place. Alex Marciano is going to be starting his lap in the session. Of course, now his 3rd run, his 3rd attempt at this track here in Italy, and we can see if he's now going to be able to improve from P9. Was of course P3 at one point in this session, so shows how many drivers did improve and managed to find that time that they needed. So Alex Marciano heading up into the Villeneuve chicane. Can he get it as nicely as he did last time around? Really well done there from Alex Marciano. Seemed a bit more committed. He's up by 2/10 of a second just about as he now heads up the hill up into turn 9. Of course, we saw Lando Norris in 2021 get crucially go wide there and brutally robbed of a front row start. So as you now head down into the Aqua Minerale double right hander, nicely done there from Alex Marciano. I think a bit better than what we saw him do last time. He's up by 3.5 tenths once again, so he just needs to keep his cool through this final sector, but he made a little mistake there. He wasn't as committed through the very anti-outer as he was last time, as he now heads down into the first Ravazza, goes a bit wide of that apex as well. So for Alex Marciano, he needs a strong final corner, which he does find. Does he? Yeah, it's coming to the pit lane. No, he does not. DRS open for the Ferrari, and it's good enough for P4, 0.02 of a second behind Shazoo Venom, but Alex Marciano, 4th place on the grid currently, needs to get back round the circuit though rather quickly, because he is going to be very, very tight on time for another run in this session, and that is even if he has another set of the soft tyres available for him to use.
Well, hopefully for him, he does get a 4th one in. Mind you, with a wet race and a lobby restart as well, they're going to get brand new tyres, so they may as well use them all up now while they have the chance.
Yeah, they really could, and but it all depends on what tyre selection they went for. If Alex Marciano went for softer and sort of hoped for that lobby restart, then I mean, he is in a good position, but we'll just have to wait and see if he can come back out on circuit again, that is, because he's going to be very, very tense and very tight on the overall timing that he has. Of course, he has to get the car back into the garage, switch onto the new set of tyres, and then come straight back out again. So it could be very difficult for him, and he's run out of fuel as well as he heads back down into the Ravazzas. So that's going to hold him up very, very slightly. You see the rest of the field now coming out on the circuit, out from the pit lane, and the first driver to be starting their final run of this qualifying session is going to be the Williams man, the slowest driver so far of ETE Andrea. Can he put himself into the mix, or is this just a real forget for Andrea, or maybe is he setting himself up for the wet weather?
It could be either, but he's also going to have traffic on this lap down towards turn 2, getting on the brakes around that 70-metre mark as quick as you can, but keep it optimal to gain time in towards the next chicane. 3, 5 and 6. Is he going to be up on his time? He's up by 2.2 tenths currently. Won't improve his position at this moment, but he's got an Alpine in his way already. That could be hurting him into the next couple of corners. That is a Haas, and yeah, I think that's going to be his lap over, to be honest. He's going to continue on, but that's not going to be helping him at all.
It certainly is. Look at all the traffic he's got to get through in this final sector. He might even be held up here by the McLaren, I think, of Daniele. There's an AlphaTauri moving over to the left-hand side. That is going to be a TRL Martin. And look at that, threading the needle for Andrea. Real close stuff to losing maybe a part of his front wing or even his front right-hand tyre. So very lucky to squeeze through there. And now DRS will be open as he heads up to one. Where does he put himself? Finishing off at P13, but as you can see, lost a huge amount of time due to that incident with the Haas, and also really probably was just a bit scared of the drivers around him as well. Shazoo Venom, he's about to start. He's run, I think Bobberts is going to be the next driver heading up to the line.
Double outlap.
Oh, it does seem so.
Because
Bobberts seems to have made a mistake on his first run, and now he's charging up the battery again.
Who's just finished a lap as Langman goes up to P7. I think Justin may have just gone to P8 as well. Daniele is up by 0.08 of a second in the first sector. He's going to need a bit more to be able to improve his position, even if it's by 1. But when I look at Spicer, is he invalid? No, he hasn't. Not that time around. It's basically a one-shot quali for him, as he did disconnect. But in towards the final couple of corners, he's got his teammate just ahead of him, but it's not going to be helping at all, as Alex Marciano does get a 4th lap in, but spies up to the line, goes into P3 with a 13.6, just about in time to start another lap if he really wanted it. Don't think he's going to take the chance to. That's Max van der Geest into the pit lane now. As you see,
Max obviously not able to improve on his lap. Talking about someone who could improve, Shazoo Venom up by 2 tenths in that middle sector, and that could certainly be what he needs to shoot himself straight back to provisional pole. Of course, the man who won the first race of the season, he's gone wide at the final corner and invalidated. What would it have been? It would have been good enough for pole. It would have been good enough for provisional pole there for Venom. Could typical last week's pole position man snatch it away from Max? Yes, he can. FRT typical snatches it away from Max van der Geest. But of course, we still have more drivers coming to the line, the likes of Bobberts, who's actually invalidated his next run. So Bobberts starting from the back of the field, not getting a competitive lap time on the board. So all our eyes turn to the man in the scarlet red Ferrari, Alex Marciano. Can he snatch pole position brutally away from FRT Typical to the line for the Ferrari? No, he cannot deny Typical a second pole position in a row here in crossplay tier 2. And can the Alpine converts it unlike last week, but for Alex Marciano, it's only good enough for P3 of a 1:13.514. And also crucially, here, Ace, your championship leader, of course, after 2 rounds, Hazara, only in 15th place qualifying for him to forget.
Definitely for him qualifying to forget, but you never know. When we go into the race, we've got the same weather, and it will be, well, wet to dry. But of all things, Andrea threading the needle was probably the best thing out of that session, not gonna lie.
Yeah, that was very, very close, very skillful from Andrea to actually do that overall. So really well done to him to get through that unscathed, and that was a frantic lap for him probably, and probably a lap where he's just proud to have finished it and kept it valid. But of course, we're going to have this lobby restart now, and that'll be interesting to see how these drivers are able to refocus, recuperate, and get somewhat into a new rhythm, of course, in the wet. But quickly, Ace, run us through your our qualifying standings.
You do have Typical on pole position again, but is it going to be able to convert this week? Hopefully for him, Max van der Geest, the only one getting a grid penalty, which is going to lead to a restart. Alex Marciano, Dirk, and Spicer running out your top 5. And you'd think it's more PS dominated. That's 4 out of 5 of PS in the top 5.
Yeah, really well done there from the PS drivers. Of course, Venom could have made it 3 out of the top 5 because unfortunately he invalidated. But this is what we could expect in the main Grand Prix. Look at that weather. Look at the pit lane. It's monsoon conditions here in Imola. Of course, last year it didn't actually go ahead due to the rain and the flooding that happened around the circuit. So for the likes of these drivers, the extreme wets are going to be used. Interesting to see how quickly the track conditions change and how quickly that rain lightens up in the main Grand Prix. But of course, we've got this lobby restart coming up. All these drivers have another chance of getting into a rhythm, maybe even changing setup or tyres. So we'll have to wait and see. Fresh tyres will be there for everybody once we go back to dry, and we can maybe see a soft shootout to the end of the Grand Prix. But we can only wait and see what to happen. But FRT Typical, last week's pole man, is on pole here once again. Ace, do you reckon he's going to be able to convert this one? Or do you think it could be another scenario where we see a late safety car and it's so wrongfully taken away from him?
You never know. I mean, the safety car last week helped Hazara out massively, but you never know. Personally, would say it's less likely of them to crash around here, is that the walls aren't as close. But then again, with the rain, you never know what can happen.
You really don't, and you don't know who's gone for what setup in the dry and the wet. But of course, I think they will be able to change that now for this next race, as for the race, sorry, after this lobby restart. But we also need to see how quickly the track conditions change up, because overall, if you go for a wet setup and it ends up only being 10 laps of rain, and of course we've got 32 laps this evening, then you're a bit screwed for the remaining 22 laps in this race. So it's going to be all down to how the drivers play this one, what setups they use, and overall what they decide to do with their strategies, their setups, and do they go a bit more riskier and hope it dries out early, or do they play it safe, get that good start to the race, and then just hold on from there? It's going to be so tricky, but of course these drivers so experienced, some of the best drivers on console, and they certainly will know how to handle these conditions. But for Typical, he's got a big job on his hands. Usually around Imola, pole position isn't really where you want to start. It's either second or third. So Alex Marciano and Dirk in really good positions to maybe take the lead down into turn 1.
Well, you never know yet. And I've just looked at the YouTube chat now. Hello, Taz. Of course, it's you asking if I'm on comms. Yes, I am. Thank you. But anyway, we're going to go to the intermission and we will be back once we get on to the grid again. As we actually have agonised in the session now, so we're going to have 19 drivers for the race instead of the 18 we were expecting. But we will see you very shortly. Hello everyone. We are back again. We're going to get underway in just a minute or two. We have been given the call to ready up at 37, but I think we may only be going at 38, as by the time we loaded in, we weren't, well, in the session yet. But typical on pole, you've got Max van der Geest behind, and you've got Alex Marciano, Dirk, and then Spicer in your top 5. Who's leading in towards turn 2? It's not turn 1.
Oh, very, very tricky one to decide. I feel like typical being on the outside, he has to make the biggest adjustment with the turning, is somewhat ruled out of the equation, just due to the nature of how the pole position slot sits. You don't really want to be on pole around Imola. You want to be about second or third to get the best momentum and drive down into turn 2. So I'm going to go for Max van der Geest to maybe get a good start here. I mean, this has been his best qualifying performance so far this season. I don't think he's actually scored points this season unless he got some last time out in Jeddah. I'll quickly double check
He hasn't
that
got any
now.
currently.
Yeah, so he hasn't got any points. So for Max van der Geest, this could be a big, big evening for him if he is going to be able to get some points. But we're about to go underway, Ace, so take us away.
You've got 5 red lights are on, and it is going to be pedal to the metal as we go racing here in Imola. Go, go, go. Who has got the better start? Is it typical Woods turn 2? As turn 1 is just now, but the first braking zone, who will be ahead on the outside line? Max van der Geest hold on. Can he keep the curb? No, he has to go over the curb. But if you see now, Dirk, I don't know if he cut, but someone did cut at that point. I think it may have been Martin, but still leading away. It is typical by 7/10 of a second. Dirk just following behind, as he's got Alex just behind him to keep him company. Spicer moving up to P4 now, 3 and 4 down to 11th now.
Yeah, that was a horrid start there for Max van der Geest. I think he was the one cutting over the sausage curb there. He's now nearly dropping down behind Hazara. Venom's also had a very horrid start here in the wet weather. It's down to 15th place. He was 5th place when he started this one. So really horrid start here for Shazoo Venom and also for Max van der Geest. Typical though, leading the way. Dirk's brought that gap down slightly, so the Mercedes man really is working well here in this opening lap of proceedings. Going to go late on the brakes to the inside line. Goes Dirk, and he's not able to get the move done, but now we see that he has a lot of pace. He has a lot of confidence in that Mercedes car. Allison and David have both gone into the intermediates. That could be a risky strategy. That could work out for them within the next few laps, as Martin versus Danielle going to go side by side nearly, and also Spicer as well. It's going to be maybe 3 wide. No, that was Danielle into the back of Spicer. Martin trying to go around the outside, but a Ferrari shuts the door quite nicely, and that allows Danielle to get the switch back. A little bit of contact made, both still in a straight line. Luckily for them, Martin could drop down behind Raphael as well, but look at Flo to the end.